All right, cheers, Angus. You're on Raw Youth Disability Radio. And today, my special guest is a wheelchair basketball superstar. I am, of course, talking about Jarrod Emeny. Jarrod, how are you doing today?
Doing well. I'm surviving my very chilly American weather right now.
So, Jarrod, to those who don't know, you are a person in a wheelchair. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yep. So I'm coming up on 6 years now. I had a car crash when I was 18, and now I'm in a wheelchair full time. I'm a T7 paraplegic, and I'm a wheelchair basketball player. Play with the Australian team, the under 23s Australian team in 2022 for the World Championships, and after that, I was able to book a spot over to the US, and now I'm over here studying my masters while playing some college ball.
Were you a basketball player beforehand, or were you introduced to it? What's the go?
I was definitely introduced to it. I was a rugby boy through and through. I grew up in the country, in Mudgee, Central West region. So, it was a full rugby boy. And after my accident, I needed that touch of aggression to get my teenage testosterone out, and basketball was it. I actually met some wheelchair basketball royalty in Grant and Jenna Meisens before I was in a wheelchair. So I think I was about 14, 13 years old. And I met them, and both of them actually, Grant played for Australia, Jenna played for the US, and they both went to the University of Illinois, where I'm at now. Followed their wheel tracks, I would say. I'm all the way over here playing ball for the University of Illinois.
Yeah, right. Awesome. So Australia and America is two very different countries and two very different cultures. And one of them is definitely basketball is a lot more popular in America. Did you notice that when you arrived there?
Yeah, absolutely. Sport is, similar to Australia, where it is a way of life, but over here it's do or die. Supporting a team is massive. You watch every game, especially if are supporting any team, and if you are playing for a team, it's every single day there's something that's sport involved. Where back home it's footy's for the weekend sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where here sport is an everyday action, and it does get difficult with the amount of training and the amount of sort of pressure to put onto the sport. But I do love it, so that's why I do it.
So outside of the wheelchair part, is there any difference between basketball and wheelchair basketball?
No, there really isn't. That's why it is the best accessible sport, being that, it's in exactly the same court, it's the same ball, it's the same hoop. There are very similar rules. I mean, there's still travel, there's 2 pushes to your chair, so 2 pushes per dribble.
Yeah.
You don't get the double dribble. You can catch the ball and keep going, so that's probably the only thing. So there's no, double dribble, double movement. There's a whole lot of rules around contact with your chair. Basketball is a contact sport, but for us, there's ways you're allowed to take contact. That's very cool, and I think that actually makes it a little bit more difficult than able-bodied basketball is the way that you have to think and you have to strategize, and it's way more technical basketball IQ-wise and intelligence-wise. You have to know what you're going to do before you really do it, because you can't change as quickly as an able-bodied athlete. We can't move laterally, can't move left or right, seeing as we are on wheels. It takes turning and moving around, and also pushing a chair while also thinking, moving, talking is pretty difficult, and it makes it a hell of a good sport to play.
I've seen some clips flown around of wheelchair basketball. It seems like quite the sport, I must say.
It's incredible. And, unfortunately, in the last few years, we haven't been able to play as big of a season in Australia. We're looking to return big this year with June and July. So myself playing for the Wollongong Rollerhawks, which is the most winningest teams in wheelchair basketball history. We lost the game in the grand final last year, so this year is going to be an absolute tear, and we're hoping to have 6 teams from around Australia, and we'll be travelling around all June, July. So National Wheelchair Basketball League is going to be big this year.
Yeah, awesome. So Jarrod, before we wrap up, what advice would you give anyone who wants to get involved in wheelchair basketball?
Don't be scared to go up and guys be like, hey, I want to get involved. How can I get involved? All it takes is one person to have the time for you or to have the knowledge for you. And most of the time it's 100%. I know a guy who runs this session at this time. And, reach out to guys that are in the industry, and especially working with organisations like Wheelchair Sports New South Wales.
Yeah.
They're just absolutely sensational for getting people involved with wheelchair sport. And if you want to take it to a higher level, go to the guys that are pushing the hardest. And, that's what drew me to the Rollerhawks, is that, that they've got some of the best, wheelchair basketball athletes in the world, with Tristan Knowles, Sean Norris, and Luke Popel, all just qualifying for the Paralympics a couple of days ago. They pushed the limits of what's, doable for a person with a disability, and they have different disabilities, and they all, achieve success in not only their sporting career but real life. And to surround yourself with people like that, there's really nothing that compares.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Well, Jarrod, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate that. Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm Brando Macmillan, and I was just talking to wheelchair basketball superstar Jarrod Emeny on Raw Youth Disability Radio. Back to you, Angus.